Hey guys, I'm going to show you how you would use your ESM outline bundle in Studio Next. So, say you got an email from me and it's a zip file of all the ESMs, and or you purchased it off the website, and you just go ahead and you download that zip file. So I'll just click download. And then I'll go to my download folder. Here it is here. And I'll just say extract all. So I'll extract it. And you probably want to put these in like a special folder. So I would just click browse and let's see. I'll put them in my WeQuilt Studio and I'll click new folder and I'll call it ESM I'll just say new so I can designate it from my other ESMs. I usually put them in in the C drive so that they're easier to get to. Like I'll, instead of putting them in my weak US folder, I'll come down to like C. And then, because that's usually where Embird likes to store them, and then users, click at WeQuilt, double click that. And then you could see I have Embird ESM files. That's usually where I put them. I guess I'll put them there, but not exactly there. I'll just make another folder here. New folder. And I'll just put ESMs. I'll just put bundle just to make it different. And so then that'll be my folder. I always have to like select something else so that it shows down here and then go and select it again. So ESM, oh, I don't like the way that I'm taking the S off, ESM bundle. So I'm just going to click somewhere else. And then I'll click it again. So it shows up down there, select folder. So that's where it's going to extract. So it's in C users WeQuilt ESM bundle. So now we know where it is. So in Studio Next, I just created a fill, a circle fill, and I'll get to the parameters in a moment. So in Studio Next, to get to your ESMs, you don't go into params first. First, you have to bring them in by using gadgets, fragment editors. And then once you bring them in, then you go into params and they'll be there. So we'll go to fragment editors to bring them in. And these are your 5 slots here. And so slot number 1 is chosen. We click the 3 dots. And it looks like I'm on motifs, but so let's click user samples. That's the outlines. So now we'll go open sample, which are the outlines. And then you could see this is usually where I go. Studio Next is nice because it saves the last time, the last path that you used. But this bundle I didn't save here. I saved it in C users WeQuilt, so I'll click there. And then I saved it in ESM bundle. Click there, and then looks like I have to click it, and then there they all are. So there's all the outlines. And so you could decide how you want to sort them. They don't look like they're alphabetical. So click the 3 dots, sort. by name. And it looks like it's, click it again, sort. It's descending because ascending's not checked. I usually leave it as descending because then I like to just click date a lot of times. But for right now, I'll click the ascending. So now they're in alphabetical. So then you just decide which one you want to put in slot number 1. So let's say I'll just do the first arrowhead and click open, and then that goes right in slot 1. And then if I want to bring in more, I click slot 2, 3 dots, open sample, and maybe I want to bring in my flames big or my chain stitch medium. I have lots of chain stitches. These chain stitches don't have a line going through them unless, of course, you branch them, then you will. That's why I made my own, because Embird's has a line going through the center. And so slot 3, we'll just see what else. There's the needle. Somebody wanted that once. Needle's one-sided. And just click open. And I could fill them all up or not. I don't have to fill all 5 of them. I'll just grab one more. This sheet goes nice. I'll try that. And then remember too, you can edit them and save them as a different name. And then if you save them as a different name here, then you want to click Save Sample and save it as a different name up here. But we'll just hit cancel. So I'll just do 4 slots and hit done. And so now if I want to put an outline around this, I'll go to Convert, Fill Mesh, Create Outline. So now that outline, when I hit params, and click here and go up, so the 4 slots are filled in. The 5th one just says user defined. So I'll click the arrowhead, and you can, again, you can change these. I'll just click apply. Let's go into 3D. And like I said, you can make them bigger. The cell length is, left to right. So I'll just do like 6 and 10 maybe, or 6 and 6. And then the width is, how wide it is. So I'll make it a lot wider, maybe, I don't know, 8, and hit apply. And, you may or may not like that. So for me, that length is not pleasing. So I feel like my length, I want to be have it a lot smaller. That might even be too much, unless I make it wider. So now it looks like I have 6, 6, and 8. So if I were to make this like 12, it might start to look better to me because it's wider. It'll get wider this way. That looks a little bit better. And then remember, I can bring this same arrowhead in as a motif, even though I created it as an outline. And the way to do that is to go into Gadgets, Fragment Editors, and this time I'll click on User Motifs, okay, but then I'll do Open Motif, and again, it's going to my folder, last folder I was in for motifs, but I'm going to go to that outline folder that I just, unzipped. And I'm going to bring an outline in as a motif. So see users, WeQuilt. I'm going into this ESM bundle and click it again. And I'm going to bring the arrowhead in now as a motif. Click open. And you can do that. You could switch them up. You could, as long as you open them in that category, this will now be a motif as well. So slot number 2, open motif. There's my flames, my heartbeat, the marrow, ripple. We have ripple now in mesh, but I guess I could bring in one of these back stitches. And then 3, I'll bring in one more, maybe one of the flames. I'll just bring in that one. So I'll click done, and now if I want to fill this, Control 1 to bring it into view, I'll go up to the fill, click on params. We don't want autocom, we want a motif. Click here and scroll up, and here's the 3. So now I could put the same arrowhead in. I could put now this is a motif, so my spacing, I'm going to make it really spaced apart, like 20 mils, my density. I don't know if that's gonna, I don't know how that's gonna look, but you know, you can, you're gonna make the spacing 20. You probably want this to also be 20, if I remember correctly. Just hit apply, see if I did that right. Okay. Maybe I want my width to be 10. Okay, there. That looks a little better. And of course, we can always give it away. And then if you wanted it tighter, you can change it from 20, you know, and change it down, so you could play around with it. So now we'll keep the wave on and go back to the other ones. And I'll just leave that spacing. So that's going to be pretty tight. So there you go. So you have lots of options, you know, going back and forth between outlines and motifs. And, you know, with this outline, I could change it up and have the needles. Now these are, that's my cell length, the distance between these little nodes. And the width is 4. Let's just see. And then remember, we can flip the sides, because sometimes you want an outline that just sticks out on the outside. So yeah, that one sticks out on the outside. And I could have made it so that they come straight out instead of slanted. So, and I could make the width more, you know, bigger. Now if I make it 8, I don't believe this one has a stitch point here. So 8's probably going to be too much. Yeah. Because when I created this, I didn't create a stitch point in between. So you probably don't want to do that. So let me just X out on that. But if you did want to make it longer, you can always go into the gadget fragment editors, go into your user samples, pull up that one, and let's see what I did. Oh, it's pretty long. Okay, yeah, so I didn't put anything in between. So I probably want to, it's selected here, so I'd want to go maybe halfway. I don't know what halfway would be. 5, 10. Let's just count them. So this is 10. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 10 to here. And I believe it's another 10. So if I put it right there, that's about halfway, and then click here to go back there. Oh, I messed up. Click. It's nice when you make them in Studio Next, because Studio Next has snap to grid for these. Now, I don't know about that one because I don't think it was down there. So you can uncheck snapping and then kind of put it where it should go. And, you know, then in that case, then you can make the width longer. So I can make the width 8. And I'll leave the length, and then I'll call it needles one-sided 8 wide. And then I'll save it. Save sample. Now it's in here in the ESM bundle. I probably want to put it in my regular folder, but I'll just put it here. Needles. I should have copied and pasted that name from the other screen. Let's cancel. Just come down here, click Control A, Control C, and now save it. Save sample. Control A, Control V, and now we're saving it. So now that's in slot C, so the other one's not in there now. I could have put the other one back in a different slot, but so now let's just go back and go into params. See, it says 8 wide, but this didn't change. So when that happens, I usually click and I just choose something else, and then I go back and go to needles one-sided, and now you see it's correct, and then hit apply. I don't know how that's gonna look. Let's see. I mean, it's fine. And you could see the stitch point there. If I zoom in, hold my plus sign, you can see it. Hold my right mouse to pan over. So then that would be better because they're so long. Hit Control 1. So that looks kind of cool. So you can just change up, you know, ESMs that are already there, and you can even do that with Embird's ESMs. You know, Embird has their ESMs in a certain folder, and I think I made a video on that. But yeah, the sky's the limit, guys. So there you go. So cool. And remember, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but if you create an ESM in Studio Next, you can't use it in Studio Regular. But if you create it in Studio Regular, then you could use it in Studio Next or Studio Regular, just so you know. So this one that I just created, I doubt if it's going to show up in Studio Regular. I'll go see. And usually what happens in Studio Regular, what you'll see is, you'll see like blank spaces. So if I say, I'll just create an outline and hit enter. And then in Studio Regular, of course, you've got to go into params and whoops, and you go into this drop down arrow user editors, and that's how you bring it in right here. We're going to look at the outlines. We're going to click open. And we're going to go into C, double click users, WeQuilt. Where was it? ESM bundle, double click. Okay, so here's most of them, but what was that called? Needles. I bet, see this blank spot? Something's blank there. I don't think it's the needles, but something. Okay, there it is. So the first time I made the needles, I must have made it in Studio Regular. I must have made it in Studio Regular. But the needles I just created, the 8 mil, I made it in Studio Next, so it's not even showing up here. So just keep that in mind. So, yeah, I don't know what this other blank spot is. Obviously, it's a heart. It's one of the heartbeats. I probably edited it in Studio Next, and it's not showing up here. So there you go. So if I were to bring one in here, say just, I'll do chain stitch thin, then you click OK, and then it's the same thing. It's, you scroll up and there it is there. This is a real thin chain stitch. So there it is. Oops. Well, hit Control 1 to bring it into view. It's not as the plus, when you hit plus on Studio, in Studio Regular, you don't get, like, it zooms in quicker, like more. You don't get as many levels as you do in Studio Next. I'm not used to that. All right. Well, I hope this helps you, because I know it can be very confusing with the ESMs. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.